Welcome to the Video Game AV Club, brought to you by Resident Evil, the W.S. Anderson movie that we
Paul
watched.
W.S. Anderson.
Paul, that's the first name. I was trying to think of it so hard.
You were just trying not to say Wes Anderson?
Yes. Paul.
Not related.
Anderson.
Paul and Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, so for October we decided to watch a scary movie, question mark.
Not very scary. I think that the other Resident Evil movies have more pop out moments.
You think
in
so?
This one.
Like the ones in this series?
Yes, in this series with Mila.
Resident Evil is pretty action packed for what it is, so.
Yeah, but they're in. I remember being a lot more pop out moments in the. I mean, there's a couple, but I think we've seen this movie so many times that we know what's coming.
Yeah, I guess that's true. No jump scares in this one.
No.
That I'm aware of.
There's a couple of them, but they're kind of easy to spot.
It's when the music gets happens. Dim, like the music shuts off, and I'm looking away now because I know what's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. I do that in theaters all the time. Trained. If they kept the music going, I would have no idea. And then they played a loud thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you look away when jump scares happen?
I watch
when you know movies, they're coming, and you're like.
I try to watch movies, like some movies, through my fingertips because it has happened in public in movie theaters where it's a jump scare and I like slap myself in the face
because your hands are up.
Because my hands are up because I know it's coming and I'm trying to block my vision and that it jump and I like slap myself.
I try to be super nonchalant, like I can hear that it's coming, so I'm like, oh, now's a great time for me to look at my soda. Mm. Nobody will know.
See, I'm jumpy, so I would probably spill my soda.
Time for me to look at the floor. Oh, look at all this popcorn on the floor.
What time is it?
Crazy yell. Oh, let me look at the audience. Look at everybody else.
Yes, you know it's coming, and then there's a couple ones. It's like I know it's coming, but I still jump because you don't quite have the timing right.
It's when they have that, like, it's a little too long, so you feel comfortable again. Like, you're like, oh, the music's died down, let me look at the floor, and you're like, wait, is it happening? And then it doesn't.
There was it The Deep Blue Sea with the genetically altered shark, and Samuel L. Jackson is given.
I haven't seen that.
Given his, like, diatribe, and, like, obviously it's just him standing by the tank, and you're like, the shark's coming. I still jump, though, because, again, you're like, is it now? Oh, how about now? Oh, and there it is. So no jump scares in this one.
Not really.
Not really. A little background on the Resident Evil movies. The first script that got floated around it's still around. It's on the internet. You can read it if you want to, but it was from George A. Romero in 1998. That's shortly after.
That's when the Resident Evil book that we read came out?
Yes.
Was it The Umbrella Conspiracy?
Yes. That was the name of that thing.
Yeah. And the game came out in 95.
So game, then book, and then this was right before the second game. And so George A. Romero, who is notorious for his zombie movies, he got tapped to write the script and direct the movie. It never happened. If you read the script, you can kind of see why. I tried to read it and I got about 20 pages in and I was very confused as to what was happening. He changed stuff from the game about the characters. It did have Chris and Jill Valentine, and I think Wesker's in there too.
Unlike this one.
Yeah, it started with the office where they're like eating someone, which is how this starts in an office as well, but that's about as similar as it gets. But his script was deemed too violent to be made, and then no one told him that he was fired. So I've heard that there are interviews where he has made comments. I've not listened to those interviews, so I can't say what they are. But I had to actually watch a video of someone else give a description of the script because I was so confused just by 20 pages, and then I got bored and didn't watch the rest of them. So George A. Romero was supposed to direct the first one. He did not, and it took several years before Paul Anderson, who also wrote the script for this one. So there's a couple things I think that he pays homage to Romero in.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it when we get to
okay.
spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, you can watch this movie on Netflix.
You can?
Yes.
Cool.
So the first one, I think is exclusively on Netflix, which is what I tried to look. I didn't see if it was on Apple. You cannot rent it from Prime.
That's weird.
It's very weird. You can rent the other ones, but this
one
is exclusively from what I've looked at and tried to find. I actually went on different streaming networks to see if I could find it somewhere else, and it was only on Netflix.
Why is that?
I think it's because of the television series.
Oh, did they own the rights to Resident Evil now?
They did the television series recently. It was a Netflix original, and
that one was also just called Resident Evil, right?
Yes. So when I typed in Resident Evil, the series came up first, and I was like, "Oh heck no, that's not what I'm looking for." Where's Mila? This movie came out in 2002. It is about an hour and 40 minutes. It stars Mila Jovovich. I'm gonna pronounce her name right because I did also watch the director commentary on that, and she was very adamant on how to pronounce her name at the beginning and the end of that commentary. It was interesting, and when we were watching the movie today, I told Savvy all about it. So Mila Jovovich, she's in all of the Resident Evil franchise. She plays Alice.
Yes.
We have Michelle Rodriguez.
But they never say her name in this movie. You only know from the credits her name is Alice.
True.
I wonder if they say her name in the other movies.
I think they do. Because they're like, it's Alice.
Yeah. Okay, so just this one.
Yeah. That's right. I don't remember them ever, because they call her like operative or... Interesting. There is also an Alice in Wonderland element to this that we can talk about.
Probably should have figured with names like Alice and
the Red Queen. I heard about the Red Queen and Alice, and I did not get the fact that there was like a whole Alice in Wonderland.
The other ones are kind of hard to tell though.
Yes.
Based on what you told me.
So Paul Anderson, I guess he's got a Alice in Wonderland thing, and
who don't?
I know. It's true. I still like.
If it ain't like the 7 Deadly Sins or like the stages of grief.
There was a thing about Alice in Wonderland on Warehouse 13, which is a television show from Sci-Fi, which is kind of corny, but I liked, where she was like hiding in the mirrors, and like to this day I cannot like have mirrors around me at night because it creeps me out. But so there's a creepy thing to Alice in Wonderland, but weird acid trip. In the story, some of the characters are supposed to represent other characters in Alice in Wonderland. It's kind of a loosey-goosey idea, but I could see kind of where he was going, but I don't think you would pick it up if you didn't know it.
Yeah. Because
like
since they didn't say her name, the only thing you'd get was the Red Queen.
Yeah. So Michelle Rodriguez plays Rain. She's another big name actress. She's in the Fast and the Furious. She got fired from Lost.
She got fired from Lost?
Yeah, her and another actress they got a DUI when they were in Hawaii. And so that led to them being let go from the show.
Both of them?
Yes. Michelle Rodriguez.
That's what she's known for?
Yeah, she was in Lost. She was in Fast and Furious.
That's all I know her from is Fast and the Furious and this movie.
And she was in SWAT, so she's been in quite a few movies. She always plays like the tough girl. Eric Moebius.
I don't know.
I spent all that time looking at Jovovich's name, and he plays Matt, who is the fake cop guy.
Fake cop.
He's also been in several stuff, mostly TV shows. And then we have James Purevoy, who plays Spencer, and he, like, when I went on the IMDb page, he's on the second page, which is surprising to me because he's one of the principal actors in here, and he's also probably one of the better known besides Mila. He's been
I definitely don't know who he is.
A crap ton of stuff. You know who he is.
I do?
We talked about it. He was the one that, he was in V for Vendetta, and then he quit because...
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't let him show his face, which is pretty vain.
He's in Rome. He's in Altered Carbon. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's a fantastic actor. I don't think you watched Altered Carbon.
His name is a reference to the Spencer estate, which is the mansion in Resident Evil 1.
That's true. And they are in the mansion. He was in The Following. She's in Camelot, the TV series.
You're naming a bunch of stuff I've never seen.
I can't believe you've never seen Rome. He was in The Knight's Tale.
What is that?
The Knight's Tale is the movie. It's the Canterbury Tales, but it has Heath Ledger.
No.
You're not going to know any of these. In Mansfield Park.
He's the guy from Resident
He's British.
Evil.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. And those are our main people. There's other actors. From what I heard in the director's commentary, this took about $33 million to make. Only made $40 million in the US. This is early 2000s though, and it ended up making $102 million worldwide. It was the 64th highest earning movie in 2002.
Why do you think it didn't do very well?
This is also the same year that Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets came out. The second Star Wars movie came out.
Which one? The prequel ones?
Yeah.
Not Phantom Menace. The best one. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like big name movies that came out this year. So it was 64 out of 200, which is not bad, but it's also not good. Because I think the other movies did very, very well.
Yeah.
So this one, although it opened the franchise door.
Well, they made a sequel, so.
They made a sequel. It was that's a very low budget for the type of movie it was, which was impressive. You can watch it on Netflix. Rotten Tomato gave it a 35% with their critics, but.
With the critics?
Yeah.
That's kind of low. What about the audience?
The audience, 67.
Okay. Audience is a little more nice.
I'll read the synopsis for you, and then.
What would you give it percentage-wise?
I like this movie. I've watched it several times. Actually, it's...
How many tomatoes? How many... Is it like out of 5 for the Rotten Tomatoes? Is it just...
Yeah.
5 tomatoes? Tomatoes are good, right? I've never been on Rotten Tomatoes in my life.
I just look at the score, the
I don't
percentage.
trust them.
Yeah, I don't trust them because every time that I look at the critics, it's always crazy low.
Yeah.
Or you watch a movie and you're like, that was garbage. And then it's like, we love this movie.
Critics are super rude and the people are untrustworthy.
So when at least 60% of reviewers or more for a TV show are positive, you get a red tomato. When 60% of the reviews or the TV show...
Oh, it's just a positive or negative thing?
Are positive, you get a green splat. It's displayed. That's the same thing.
So... If
it
you're
says
writing,
when they're both are positive, that's can't be right. Rotten Tomatoes, I think you need to fix your website.
If you're writing a Rotten Tomatoes review, you just have to pick between a positive or a negative score?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what it says. No, I just looked at what the score was.
Because I was like, I don't know. I feel like 5 tomatoes out of 5, but like tomatoes are bad because you're throwing tomatoes. So
yeah.
like, but the Rotten Tomatoes
but it's
are
not
worse.
flatting. Yeah.
So.
I don't know. Hocus Pocus 2 just got a 61%.
From
Rotten Tomato.
Critics?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I think it's overall. So 61% tomato meter. Audience score got a 53%.
Oh.
Wow.
Oof.
So that's the popcorn on the ground.
That's popcorn on the ground?
Yeah.
Not a Rotten Tomato? Oh, that's the... Wait.
So they look at all the different critics and they...
So if you like it, is the popcorn upright?
Yes.
What? I thought this was about tomatoes!
It is. But so the low score gets a green splat and the higher score gets the tomato.
So like you get a fresh tomato and then it's popcorn falling over and then it's a green splat.
I don't know how this works. I don't go on Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't know how this works.
I like to make my own decisions on movies, but you always hear
I would give Resident Evil 1 fat juicy tomato out of 1 fat juicy tomato.
Out of 1 fat juicy tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My popcorn was upright. My tomato was fat and juicy. And not rotten. It was a good movie.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I feel like I've watched this movie at least a dozen times.
A dozen? Wow. What do you like about it?
2002.
What ripens your tomatoes, if you will?
I feel like it was just like a good... It's a suspenseful film. I feel like the actors did a good job. I mean, you can definitely tell it's a little bit more lower budget with some of the CGI stuff, but
it's like for the time.
For the time, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. Was it early 2000s?
I also feel like this is a good, and I feel the same way about the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider, is that the fact that they took these principal stories and they didn't just retell freaking game, which the new Tomb Raider movie did, sort of. And I'm like, I've already played this game. I've already seen this scene. Like,
you can tell, I think, that people actually kind of cared about Resident Evil. Like, they wanted to make their own story with the Resident Evil elements, but they added enough
that they knew,
homages.
Actually knew the game.
I was like, I feel like they care.
Yeah. So it's in the world of Resident Evil, but it's not something that I've already played. Because that, to me, is irritating. Because you're not going to make it better than the 10-hour, 20-hour, 30-hour
But I feel like nowadays, when it comes to these, like, video games turning into movies and TV shows, they're not for us who've played the thing. They're for, like, people who've never touched a video game in their life and just wanted to watch. They're trying to tap into a different market.
Well, then watch a streamer. Because you're missing out on a whole lot of really good stuff. There's a reason why these games take forever to play. But Resident Evil is pretty short, gameplay-wise.
Yeah, it's only 9 hours. Yeah. Every time I played a Resident Evil game, it was like 9 to 10 hours tops, which was pretty nice.
Yeah. So I enjoy it. I've seen it. I enjoyed it enough that I know the movie well enough that I watched the director
You like the movie enough to watch the director?
I watched the director. I like watching directors' stuff, behind the scene things, to hear what they have to say and how they made it, so that I could just listen to it without having to watch the movie and know kind of what they're talking about. So,
well, I mean, you have to already have watched the movie. You can't just jump right in.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of psychos are just like, I just want to hear what the director have to say. I don't care about the movie, because then they're literally, and it's almost in every director commentary where they're like, so we're going to spoil the movie. Hopefully you've already watched it. And someone's always like, well, they bought the DVD, so they should have already watched it. Almost every commentary, that comes up at some point.
And I mean, the movie's so quiet, too, that you can barely hear it over the people talking.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point, is you're not really listening to the dialogue.
No.
Because you're listening to what they have to say.
I mean, you'd only listen to the director's commentary if you liked the movie enough to give a crap about how it was made. You would think, I don't know, maybe there's some psycho out there that just the director's
I only watch the director's cuts.
Can you imagine?
I don't watch the movie and be like, that needs to be a question on, like, dating apps, right? Like,
so you watch the director's commentary? Actually,
what's your favorite book, and do you only watch director commentary?
I don't think anyone does. But I would like to know if you're the type of person to watch director's commentary.
Yes.
Because that's important.
Yeah, because I like to watch those things, so it's something that we would have in common. And then I could find out because there's some movies that it's awful. And we tried to watch Firefly, and there were so many people talking at once that it was.
Oh yeah, we tried to watch I think it was Serenity.
Yeah. Some of the things, like, I've watched some television behind the scenes.
I've seen some anime ones.
And sometimes they're not very informative. They're, like, laughing the whole time, and I'm just like...
Or they don't remember, like, what's going on.
They don't remember anything.
So they're just kind of there, and they're like,
And they watch it more than comment on it. Yeah. So I've definitely heard
maybe it makes people feel like the actors are in the room with them watching it, so they, like, don't feel so alone.
Yeah. But there's definitely some good ones. Legend was actually really fascinating.
I love video game commentary. Have you seen those?
Well, we watched BioShock.
Oh, yeah, the BioShock ones. Yeah. I wish more games had that, where you walk around and, like, collect stuff.
And then you can see some
there's some that I watched that were, like, just after the game on, like, a file.
There's some that you can, like, earn as, like, concept art, right?
Yeah.
If you unlock certain things. Legend was Ridley Scott that had a lot of good information with Tom Cruise and the Unicorn.
The Unicorn, yeah.
Actually, what was really good was Moulin Rouge.
Really?
Baz Luhrmann, like, surprised the crap out of me, because he knows a lot about musicals, and
that makes sense.
Yes, he would.
That
should, but like more like the history of it. And I was impressed. So if you're a fan of Moulin Rouge and you have not listened to the director's commentary, I highly recommend it. I was impressed. But back to Resident Evil, because
oh my god,
seem to be going off.
We just don't want to talk about Resident Evil right now.
I think because we talked about it so much
during the movie.
Yeah. Okay, so the synopsis of this movie is: a virus has escaped in a secret facility called the Hive, turning the staff into hungry zombies and releasing the mutant lab, quote-unquote, animals that they were studying. The complex computer shuts down the base to prevent infection. The parent corporation sends in an elite military unit where they meet Alice, who is suffering from amnesia due to the exposure of nerve gas. She was in the shower, unfortunately, or fortunately. I feel
like your head would crack open if you fell in the shower. That's like one of my greatest fears. Tripping in the bathtub.
And that's where you put the nerve gas. That seems a little... Oh, also, there was some controversy about that, I guess, because they actually filmed the mansion shots in an old Nazi, like, elite person's house. So the fact that nerve gas is coming in the bathroom is...
Oh, I see.
It's a little not okay. But I didn't know about that. So that was also part of the behind the scenes. Is they filmed most of this in Germany. The mansion is house, they said, was super freaking creepy. It used to belong to one of the high up Nazi people, and then the Russians took it over. So there's both swastikas and the hammer and sickle like around the house, and there was like padded rooms with one-way glass. And you're not in the mansion for very long, but filming takes forever, so
yeah,
I'm sure they're there for days. So she gets knocked out by the nerve gas. The military team must shut down the computer and get out, fighting their way past zombies, mutants, and the computer itself before the virus escapes and infects the rest of the world. Alice must also come to terms with slowly returning memories. I liked how they did the flashback memory scene. I thought they did a good job with that.
Yeah, you could tell what it was. Yeah, it was like in flashes.
And
so
like black and white sepia type of I mean, you could still tell because they're in a different location for a lot of her memories too. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought clever.
And when they were in the same location, they did like a cool camera trick thing.
Yes,
it was neat
with like different images on top of.
Lots of cool camera work in this one.
We talked about all the background information, but is this canon?
For what? For Resident Evil?
For Resident Evil.
Like the game?
No.
It has its own canon. It's its own thing.
Yes. So it's inspired by.
Yes.
And it has some of the same creatures.
Mm-hmm. And eventually it'll have the same cast members that'll show up later.
Yes. In the second movie we get Jill.
Then later on we get Wesker.
Yeah.
We get Chris like way later. We get Chris and Leon like at the second to last movie. Okay. I think they show up. I don't think Claire's there at all. But the whole Wesker thing is important for the last couple movies.
Yes.
Does anyone else show up?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Carlos. Carlos is important. He's in the third game. So yeah, you get like sprinkling of characters in different circumstances.
But I like how this and the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider, again, are not directly from the games, but they do play a lot of like homages. Like the creature in this one is from the second game.
Yeah.
The train is also supposed to be an homage to the second game too.
That's how you get out of the facility.
Yeah.
Escape.
And then we start in the mansion, and that's supposed to represent the Spencer Mansion.
Then you go down to the underground labs, which is also in the Spencer Mansion. So
there's enough, and there's like Umbrella Corporation
everywhere.
Symbols in there on all their stuff. So are we ready to get into movie time?
Are we gonna spoil it now?
Are we ready for spoilers? Is there anything else you want to add to before we jump in?
No, let's just do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, we're gonna spoil this entire movie. If you haven't seen it, I guess go watch it, or just listen to us talk about it and then tell all your friends what we said and pretend like you watched it. Let's go!
Do you want to do elements of a plot, or do you want to do the three?
Oh, like what we think is the
Well, we'll start with exposition.
The mansion?
Well, before we even get to the mansion, we have the voiceover of Jason Isaacs, who is not actually credited in this movie.
Weird.
His image is at the end. He is one of the doctors, but he does the voiceover, which tells us what's going on with the Umbrella Corporation. And I feel like one of the reasons why I like this movie is the opening
of them in the office building.
Yeah, so they tell you about the corporation, and then they zoom in to them handling these virus things.
Yeah, these little glass tubes.
And then one of them breaks, and you see
that he throws it.
Yeah.
There's a dude that just packs it, and you only see hands, pack it into a bag, and then just yeet it across the table, and then it breaks, and then it cuts to like it's steam coming up and going through the vents.
And then there are like people about to get on an elevator. There's other people in an office. There's people in the labs, and then you hear the biohazard sound go off, and the lights flash.
Yeah.
And then you have the people in the elevator. The elevator stops.
Yeah, the elevator stops. They hear the other elevator just crash.
Which is terrifying.
So they're like, oh no, we're going to crash. And then they fall, but then it stops.
Yes.
In like the 3rd floor, and one of them tries to squeeze
it's
through.
In the tiniest, like I can't, like her head barely fits in there. She put her arm in there too, and I'm like, if your head barely fits in there, there's no way your hips are gonna fit in there.
That's true.
Like, I don't know what this lady's thinking.
She had quite the confidence to think she can squeeze through.
She's like, hold it open, I can fit.
But she couldn't fit.
No, she's like, you're gonna have to push me, and it's like, this isn't a birth canal. It's like a metal elevator. It's not gonna give with your other elbow. That's not even, or elbow, not even elbow. Your other shoulder, which is not even out at all.
Yeah.
Like at that point, you gotta
try to get back in.
But she doesn't do that until the elevator drops and it almost decapitates her. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, pull me in. And then she gets her arm in and she turns on her back and which is awful because you can see it coming.
Yeah.
And she gets, but then it cuts away so you don't actually see that.
Yeah.
Probably for ratings.
And then the lab gets flooded.
The lab is flooding and
the office area is getting gassed.
Yeah, they're like, what's going on?
It's weird that they have different containment things. Like, why is the lab getting flooded and why is the office building getting gassed? And why is one elevator a quick death to the bottom and the next one, they're just like, oh,
I feel like that has to more to do with the setup of those different rooms that you see later. Because
why would you want
I think it's more
to flood the containment lab full of chemicals? That the water...
That might be a cleaning thing because you have to be able to decontaminate. So there should always be a drain, but maybe she plugged the drain.
Maybe. I don't know.
Fill it with the water. You're not an evil mastermind computer, so...
Right. I'll never understand. Anyway,
everyone's
dead.
It's weird that they call her the Red Queen, too.
That is weird.
Because it's a little girl.
Code name.
Wouldn't it be the Red Princess, or...
I don't know. Maybe it's an acronym that we don't know.
I think it's just supposed to be because of the Alice in Wonderland thing.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then we cut to the eyeball.
Yeah, which is apparently a reference to the intro to Resident Evil.
You know, it reminds me of more of like the Silent Hill thing. When we had to save, and there was like the red and like...
Oh, when your eyes flash?
Yeah.
No. I don't think that was an eyeball.
It
was like a square.
It was the
and
square.
Then you're like, oh, my eyes!
Yeah.
But like at the beginning of Resident Evil, they had that live action thing, and then it spun, and it like zoomed in on, I think, Chris's eyeball, and then it would cut and be like, credits. Resident Evil. And then you press play.
So she's in the shower. So you get to see Mila naked.
Kind of.
From the side. Which she ends up marrying the director in real life later. And she's in the rest of his movies. So,
so I'm impressed at the fact that, so she woke up, she's like, obviously has amnesia.
Yeah.
Right? She has no idea. She's looking
like,
at herself in the mirror.
I have a scar. There are all
She's
these
confused.
bruises.
She goes and finds a pen and paper that says, like, all your dreams are going to come true. And she decided to write something down next to it, like the same words, to see if it's her handwriting. And I was like, I would have never thought of that if I had amnesia.
You're like, oh, that was nice.
This is weird. Is this my handwriting? Mine? Yeah, no.
But I mean, both her and the other handwriting were very, very nicely written.
It's true. Do you think that's her actual handwriting?
Well, do you think it was actually her writing it on that paper?
Yeah.
That would be a good question. It kind of looked like it.
Because they cut away in a weird way.
Yeah, it's just her hand.
So, I don't know why they wouldn't do that, but, you know.
Yeah.
Weird. Hollywood's weird. And they open drawers, and there's all white shirts.
Yeah, there's an entire drawer of just white shirts. And then she doesn't even put those on. She puts on the red dress.
No. The weird looking red dress with high boots.
Yes. So she's got it's a dress that's actually a mini skirt that has long...
It's quite the outfit. What a strange choice.
Pieces on the side. I mean, it's kind of iconic now, but...
Okay, girl.
You go. I guess if you saw a drawer full of white, you're like, ugh.
Oh, and then one of the drawers have a bunch of guns on it.
Yeah, she's like, weird.
It's
locked.
Need to find the key card for this.
So she's walking around trying to figure out what's going on. She sees a picture of herself and the dude. It's like their wedding photo, but that's the only photo in the whole mansion. It looked like.
Yeah, in the foyer.
Yeah, it looked like the mansion was under construction because one of the statues has
plastic
on it.
Yeah.
And then she sees a movement and she's like, well, maybe it's outside. So she turns on all the lights and then she goes outside and then you see the birds
the birds go off, and then there's like a wind blast, and it spooks her, but not more than the fact that she gets grabbed from behind by this dude who's in the mansion.
Because the wind is the helicopters coming.
Oh, that's a helicopter? Yeah. Wow, I didn't even know. I just thought, ooh, spooky wind.
Ooh, spooky wind. No, it's the helicopters are creating the wind. Because I want to say they're Alpha Team, but I don't know if they actually said that.
Just a military
Knowing Resident Evil, it's Bravo Team. Bravo Team. Gotta send Bravo Team in first.
But they're like umbrella people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they come through the windows. Like, they could just walk through the door.
Smash it.
And then
this is why this building's under construction.
Yeah,
so smashing it.
Smash in. We have a door for a reason. It's a giant-ass door, too.
All these guys in gas masks burst through the window. They
immediately take the dude down.
Dude.
They take him down hard, and he's like,
"You're breaking my arm. I'm a cop.
Look at the look in your system." They're like, "No cop on file." And he's like, "I just transferred. They probably don't even have me on file yet." I'm like, "Then you wouldn't be working. Like, if you're not in their system, like, you would not be walking around." And the fact that no one asks him why he's in this like private property situation, where obviously that mansion is in the middle of freaking nowhere, and there's just plans. A cop there.
They're preoccupied. Yeah. They ask Alice, like, report, please, soldier. And she's like, what? And then finally one of the dudes is like, the gas just went off, so it was just probably, like, amnesia. And he's like, oh, okay. And then they take off their masks.
I guess gas is cleared. Yeah, everyone else is walking around, so they should be fine.
And then they go down.
They go through the mirror.
The mirror, okay.
Which is, again, supposed to be an Alice in Wonderland.
You think?
But that I feel like that takes you to an elevator.
That mirror was not in the mansion, I'm assuming. That was probably a separate shot somewhere else.
Probably, because
they don't have like a secret evil mirror room.
Yeah. Probably. I don't know.
To the torture chamber.
Weird Nazi things. So then all of a sudden it's like, dang, there is a whole train station under our house.
Surprise.
Cool. But the train is offline and it's not powered, so Michelle Rodriguez is like, I got it. She jumps under the train and they're bringing the cop along too.
Yeah, so everyone's going.
I was like, bad decision. Why would you bring that guy? Why don't you just like handcuff him to the mansion and be like, we'd be back for you?
I don't know why they brought him. I assumed it was like cannon fodder because they're umbrella soldiers and they kind of suck. But they actually don't kind of suck. They're actually pretty decent people. Like they're trying to find survivors and stuff. But still.
So they bring the cop along, but he's handcuffed. And he's handcuffed for a long time, which would be really uncomfortable to be like pushed around, walked around with like your hands cuffed. But they get on the train and there's a door that's stuck and
they jimmy it open.
She's like, I can't get it. And there's another Tweedledee and Tweedledum is supposed to be Michelle Rodriguez's character, who's Rain, and JD. And so JD's like, I'm a dude, I can do it. She's like, go right ahead. And then, of course, when he opens the door, it scares the crap out of him because there's a dude on the other side.
Jump scare.
Yeah.
Some dude falls through.
And it's the dude from the wedding photo.
Yeah, they're both wearing a ring that says property of Umbrella.
That's so romantic.
Sell yourself to a company.
For the jewelry.
Mr. and Mrs. Umbrella.
I'm surprised it doesn't have like a tracking chip.
Oh, yeah. Probably does, actually.
We know where you are.
He wakes up, though.
Yes.
One of the ladies is like slapping him around.
It's like a medic, yeah.
Click, click.
Who are you? It's like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Don't ask the hard questions.
So now he's part of the group.
Yeah, so now he's coming along too because they know who he is.
He doesn't have to be handcuffed.
No, he's got the amnesia. Why he's on the train, no one asks.
I know. You think
no one's asking questions here.
They have a goal. They have a plan. They're carrying this like heavy duffel bag with something inside of it. And I don't think anything else happens on the train, right?
No, they make it into the facility. Mm-hmm. And then they're in this elevator spot, which is, so when the lady gets decapitated by the elevator, there are all of these people lying on the ground. Mm-hmm. And then when we go into where the elevator is, and there's like an image of a city, and they're like, well, that's weird. And the cop says, oh, it's because they work underground so they can get a sense of normalcy. And then like Michelle Rodriguez's character Rain like looks at him weird, like, how do you know that? But there's no bodies on the ground, so where do all the bodies go?
I thought they got up because they're zombies now, right? Mm-hmm. And they shambled away, and I'm gonna assume the queen opened a door, maybe the elevator shaft, and they just fell through.
We do end up seeing a lot of the same zombies more than once.
They're hard to kill.
Yes. Especially before they get the instructions how to kill them. But so they have to be somewhere in a locked room because that'll be important later.
Yeah.
And so there's not also like no blood.
Yeah. Well, they probably got gassed.
Yeah. But there's no blood from the elevator.
That's right. I thought that would be brought up. Like, they'd look at the elevator thing and be like, ew, what the heck?
And
Clean kill.
They don't go in the elevator, right? They take the stairs, or do they?
I don't think they can go in the elevator. So, yeah, I think they take the stairs.
Oh, because they open it and the elevator is on the ground floor. Yeah, but there's no blood from the decapitation, so that's...
Or they just don't notice it because they're too preoccupied.
Yeah, but, so that was weird. And then they end up going downstairs to this room full of strange boxes, containers. They have lights on them, and something's in there, and Alice is like staring at it, and then her like superior officer comes and like is creepily next to her looking at it.
Yeah, they don't know what it is, huh?
And they're like, let's go.
Doesn't some of them go and some of them stay?
Yeah, so Rain and JD stay with the cop because I think they don't want him to see
the Red Queen and stuff.
The Red Queen and stuff. So everyone else leaves, but those three stay behind in the container room. The container store. Organizational needs right there.
Give the fun fact about those containers.
So in the director's commentary, they were talking about they only had 12 of them. So every time they had to switch camera angles.
They were heavy.
They looked heavy.
Yeah.
They had to move them to the different angles so it looked like they had more of them.
It totally... Didn't you say there was like cardboard or whatever?
Yeah, in the far back part of it, it's like cardboard.
If you're paying really close attention, you can kind of see in the far distance that it looks like a 2D like...
Yeah, but they lit it... I mean, that's the magic of films, is that they can light things in a certain way you can't even tell because you're not focused on it. And it's also like, why waste the money if...
Yeah, I mean, I thought you would just special effects more of them back in.
Yeah, that's expensive though.
Yeah.
Cardboard is way cheaper. That was the other thing they said about this movie, where even though you're in a fantasy... Sci-fantasy, it looks more realistic because they shot a lot of it in Germany. So they shot a lot of it in their underground, that what they were developing.
Use a lot of practical effects too.
Yeah.
Which definitely helps. Make it look better.
Then we split up.
Yep, we split up. So now we have A team, which is Alice, her husband, Guy, and the rest of the soldiers.
Mm-hmm. And B team is Rain, JD, and Matt, who got left behind. They have to babysit.
Okay, so we got who's on the controls?
It's the he's
the nervous looking guy.
He's the one that opens all the doors for them, and he's their tech guy. His name starts with a K. Kaplan, because she calls him Cap later.
Okay.
So Kaplan is their hacker, and he's getting into the system, and he
opens the door,
and it's this like
the server room. But there's a long hallway before you have to get there.
Yeah, it's a long hallway. There's a bunch of lights. It looks really cool. Super bright.
Yeah.
And so they take the bag, and he ends up putting something on the other door, and the other door opens. But then she's like, what's in the bag? And then, of course, they're dumb, and they say, oh, it's to, like, disable the queen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the doors close. And they're like, oh, crap.
Yeah, but the only ones in there are the
medic lady.
Mm-hmm. The medic lady,
there's
captain, and
soldiers.
2 other guys.
And there's another fun fact. Those 2 other guys are actual stunt people. So they got to face act in this movie.
They didn't even do a lot of stunts in this scene, though.
No.
So the hacker guy's trying to open the door. We have
they're like, something's happening in there.
We have Alice and what is her husband's name?
Spencer.
We have Alice and Spencer like yelling at him.
They're not helping at all. He is a nervous Nancy, and he's trying to hack as much as he can. And they're like, "Dude, what are you doing? You need to fix it." And she's like yelling at him, like, "Something's going on in there!" And it's like they're making the situation more tense. And this guy does not do pressure well.
No, he doesn't.
And so we see this laser come, and the 3 guys are like, "Oh crap!" And they all duck, except for one of them gets
the lady, gets decapitated.
She gets decapitated. Does the guy get his hand?
The guy gets his hand. I guess he ducked too soon. He just ducked with his hands up. Like,
yeah,
wow.
So he lost some fingers.
He did the wave.
And then he like hyperventilates and dies.
And then there's that other dude, because another laser's coming below, and so people jump it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna jump it.
And then one dude jumps it, but then the laser goes up and slices him.
And slices the
getting punked by the Red Queen here.
And then one is left, and he's like, I got this. And then the laser comes at him, and then all of a sudden it goes into a grid pattern, and there's no way to...
Yeah, there's no way to dodge it. He just accepts his fate and stands there.
And so they all die. The director also said that this is an homage to the movie Cube, which if you have not seen Cube and you're a sci-fi fan, go and I think there's 2 of them now, but the original one is better. Go and see it ASAP, because it's what you can do with a film with a limited budget and some great ideas.
It's really cool that when that guy got grid sliced, that you don't actually see. You see like a corner of his eye, but then you can see his entire body getting sliced and like the reflection on the door, which is very fancy, and I like that.
They made really good decisions with the camera angles and the lighting, and some of it they said they did it because it's how they did it in the video game, like when it looks like someone's watching you and like
clips the camera angles, because it's set camera angles. And they did do a lot of shots in here where it looks like you're like POV, you're the zombie watching these guys, and that's always fun.
So it was very, very conscious of what they were doing.
So the door manages to open now.
He's like, so Kaplan, who failed at hacking in time, he's like, we gotta finish the mission. And you have to give it to the actor. So his name is Martin Cruz, or Cruz, or I think it's Cruz. But he looks upset like this whole movie.
Time. He does a good job.
He does a good job of like his little chin's waving, and he's like,
he looks stressed.
I gotta finish the mission. That's why we're here.
So he
picks up the bag and he goes into the crap hallway.
And I guess the queen doesn't care.
And then Mila shows up and she helps.
And they both go into this giant server room. And this little girl gets projected, and she's a early 2000s CGI little girl who's horrifying looking, and I love that.
Yeah, because she's not quite human looking; she's kind of cartoonish,
very uncanny valley.
Yeah,
that's how AI should be.
And she's got a British accent because she is modeled after the head engineer's daughter. Yes, who makes it an appearance in the second movie. So we talked about this when we were watching it too, because they're like, what's happening here? And she's like, it's research and development.
Being very vague.
Yeah. Maybe that comes later.
Maybe. But
anyway, they're in there twice.
She's just like, please don't do that. Yeah. Don't shut me down.
And then they're like, oh, too bad.
Yeah, we're doing it anyway.
Then she turns to look at them and she's like, you're all going to die down here.
I love the way she looked at them, like in the creepy uncanny valley. It was so quick and like almost jittery.
Yeah.
It was scary. It was good.
You're all going to die down here.
Yeah, and then she shut off. Yeah.
And they shut her off, and that turned off all the lights. And then you go to B team.
Cut to the boxes that say now like open.
Yeah, so all the green lights that were on the boxes turn red, and then the juice that's going to the boxes stop. And
wouldn't it be red light turned green?
It was green that turned red.
I know, but like
because red means locked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red means evil. It went from good to
red
bad.
Means caution, like not good, levels too low, danger, warning.
Okay, anyway, B team.
Then there's the sound, and so Rain goes to investigate, and there's a lady in a
lab coat. She's like, "Oh, a survivor," and then goes to comfort her.
Lady, do you need help?
And this lady,
she reaches for her face.
Well, it's because the lady was reaching for her face, so then she was like reaching for her face.
And then the lady bites her.
The lady bites her on the hand, takes a big chunk out of her hand.
Like a huge chunk out of her hand.
She's handling it pretty well.
Yeah.
And then tackles her. She can still
like shoot and stuff with.
Yeah, she tackles her, and then
the lady tackles her.
Tweedledum comes over.
Yeah, JD
and it's like
pushes her off, and
points a gun at her.
Stay down, and she stands up and gets capped in one knee, and then she like just looks at him, and then 2 knees, but she's still standing up, and she does her little roar, I want to eat you thing.
And then Rain just blasts her with an assault rifle.
We get some of the iconic Rain dialogue. She wouldn't stay down. She was standing, and then she's like, "Bitch, I ain't standing now."
And she got to do a cool wired backflip trick.
Yeah, the zombie.
And they got blasted.
She's gone.
Yeah, she disappeared after doing that backflip.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see her again, probably.
The other team shows up, but they're missing like 4 of their people. And they're like, "Where's everyone else?" They didn't make it. What do you mean they didn't make it? Can't explain, because...
Here comes the zombies.
Here comes the zombies.
They're all there. There's a lot of them now.
Because when they turned off the computer, they opened the doors.
So now they have to fight their way through a bunch of zombies, and they're trying to get to the... Is it an elevator? Yeah, I think it's an elevator. So yeah, they're trying to get to the elevator, which I didn't even use before, so...
So they had to restart the power, I guess.
But now the power's off. Anyway,
maybe they're trying to get back to where they came from.
Maybe. I would just take the same area you went to before.
Yeah, because there was a locked door that they're trying to get in because he couldn't remember the code.
Yeah. So anyway, the hacker guy has to type in the code.
Yeah. So they're all like separated. Mila Jovovich and Matt. So Alice and Matt
is the police guy. Yeah, that's right.
They're on like one side of the room, and Rain, JD, and
they do like a
Spencer,
circle thing where they're all like circling and shooting around.
And then they get separated. Oh, because the thing explodes. So Matt goes to pick up the keys when they're looking at the blood from the lady that got shot. This is before they get attacked by the zombies. And because the keys are on the ground when she gets knocked down. Remember the zombie was on fire when he dropped the keys?
Well, yeah, I remember him trying. He got the keys somehow, and he's trying to like open his handcuff.
Yeah.
And then he like fell over, and he's being chased by a dude who's crawling.
Yeah.
And then his keys went down a grate, so he had to grab him while kicking a zombie.
Who's on fire.
And then they're shouting at him, yeah. And then he manages to get out, but he also gets picked up by Alice.
Yeah. So. And then the other team they're trying to go through the door. I don't know if is it the same door that they were at before, because they end up in the same spot.
Yeah, when they get the door open eventually, after stressing that poor hacker dude out, that somebody else had to do it.
So Spencer is waiting by this door, and he's like, "Why didn't you open it?" And Spencer's like, "I don't know the code." And so this poor like nerdy guy is trying to put the code, but he keeps messing up because he's so like nervous and scared. And Spencer's like, "Hurry up, open the door, hurry up!" Like trying to be calm, but also. And then the guy's like, "Get out of the way. What's the code?" And I'm like, he's not going to remember the code because he couldn't open it himself. But so he keeps up messing up the code.
Yeah,
and then
you're too stressed. Why don't you go shoot zombies?
Yeah. And so Spencer goes up and like yells at his face, like, "What's the code?" And then he remembers it. So I don't know.
Anyway, so that guy opens the door and then he gets mobbed by zombies.
Yeah, it's a very Romero, like, crowd of zombies, and he gets grabbed
and bite your brains.
And Rain tries to go in to get him, and
that's why I feel like that's the elevator, because it looks like such a small room.
Yeah, it could be. Had a code to it though, but I don't know, maybe you need a code for the elevator like you do for hotels.
I don't know how you would do an elevator without power though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, they can't go that way. No, there's a bunch of zombies and their friend just died.
But then we don't go back to them, right? We go back to the other team. I think that's where they're walking through the, Alice and Matt are walking, and then all of a sudden Matt's not behind her anymore.
Oh, and it's just her?
And she's just like, "Where is he?" So she goes looking for him, but that's the dog scene.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Now, you want to talk about the dogs?
What about them? That they're Dobermans?
So she is looking for Matt, and she is like walking in these rooms, and then you hear the dog steps.
You can see the cages are like
just
open.
Just a small hole in the middle though, so I don't know how they were supposed to get through that.
Impressive.
But maybe that's also why they're missing pieces of their skin.
Yeah, that might be why they're like all gross and
like covered in like
apparently spaghetti. The dogs kept licking off their stuff because these are practical effects. These aren't CGI dogs.
They look like they were covered in like jelly.
But yeah, so a bunch of dogs are gonna attack her now.
And this is where she like kicks him in the face.
She kicks him in the face, which is probably not a real dog. Probably like a doll.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently she worked really hard on that kick.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a thing where she like spent months working on that cool ass kick.
Spent like 3 weeks just working on that.
There's also a guy there who I'm assuming is in charge of the dogs that she had to take out.
He's like their head stunt person.
Yeah, the head stunt guy.
He used to be a Navy SEAL, and so he was like, "This is how you do these things." So the kick was cool.
Is this where she gets a gun too? Yeah, she does.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because she takes it from him.
Mm-hmm. And then she gets that cool bullet shot where it like zooms in on the bullet and drops.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those in these movies. A lot of bullet.
And it's property of Umbrella. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's property of Umbrella.
I thought they just made pharmaceuticals.
Nope, they are vertical mergers, horizontal mergers, all the economic stuff.
And now she has a gun, and now she knows that
she knows that she can use it. She kicks ass.
Yeah.
She's like, I got this.
Good at shooting guns and kicking dogs in the face.
She's got to run from the last dog. I know she shoots the last dog because it's like standing next to her, and she's like, well, I already did my super kick, so.
Yeah, I only got one of those a day.
Yeah. And then you go to Matt, who's the not cop, and he's in the office, and there's no one around, and all the papers are all over the place, and he's looking for something, and he sees an ID of one of the blonde ladies we saw at the beginning of the movie, and he's looking through all the files, and then all of a sudden, bam, a zombie hits the mirror, or the window.
Oh, yeah, it's like the fake office.
Yeah.
The fake cityscape. There's a zombie in the like little glass.
He keeps hitting the wall, and then all of a sudden he like disappears. And
yeah, it doesn't matter. That was another jump scare.
Okay.
Spoilers.
And then he sees the lady from the image, and he calls her name, and then she like casually walks up to him and tries to bite his face. So.
And then Alice conks her out with a giant glass paperweight.
He is crying because she just double killed,
His sister.
His sister! This is where we get the story of Matt.
What's the story of Matt?
Matt is not a cop.
Oh no.
Oh no, and if they took more than a second to look at his badge, they would have noticed that he's not a cop. And... It was,
we're not sure what he is.
We're not sure what he is, because...
He's just trying to expose Umbrella, that's all we know.
And he's like, there's a bunch of us, and some of us get information, and some of us give resources, but apparently he's on, like, the FBI watch list.
So we think he might be, like, an eco-terrorist or something?
Yeah.
We're not 100% sure.
So he couldn't get a job at Umbrella because he's would not get hired. But his sister, who has his same name?
I guess.
Maybe? Who also has an accent. She's German, the actual actress. But she got a job to help him. And we find out that she is in contact with Alice.
Who helped her get in.
Alice was going to steal the T-virus for, but we found that out later. Because he's like, oh, she had a contact on the inside and she was going to get everything. Then they leave, right?
Yeah, then they leave.
And then they join the team, which is back at the Red Queen's hacking area, and all the doors are being attacked by zombies.
We're already gonna turn her back on, basically.
Because there's nowhere for them to go, and she's the only one who knows.
They were like, hey, let's wait it out. Maybe someone's got to come for us eventually, right? And then they were like, yeah, this place is gonna shut down in like an hour?
Yeah, like they have on their watches, they have a countdown.
And then no one's gonna come get us.
It's gonna be sealed forever.
Buried alive.
We can't expose whatever's down here.
So they didn't know what to do. So Alice is like, let's just reawaken this AI. She's got to help us get out of here. She'll know a way.
Apparently she knows like computer stuff because she's putting things in. And she's like, you know about that bypass thing, right? Do it. I'm like, what? Did we talk about that?
I don't know. Maybe she got a memory flashback and she actually does know stuff.
Yeah. So they have a bypass where they could fry her at any moment. And they ask her a question. This is where we don't get the little girl for the second time.
Yeah.
I'm assuming for
no more budget.
But this is the conversation wheel where they're like, what do you do here?
Yeah.
Research and development. And they're like, what about the T-virus? Let me tell you the whole story about the T-virus.
But she's going to help tell them a way to go.
Yeah.
To get out. So.
But she's also like, you're infected. Like one scratch, one bite, and you're infected.
And her whole programming was to make sure that nobody infected gets out.
Yes.
She was just doing her job.
And so we're looking at Rain. Everyone's looking at Rain like, you gonna die, lady.
You're more than scratched.
Yeah. You got a chunk out of your hand. Mm-hmm. But she can still shoot and stuff, so.
Yeah, she still got it.
That would hurt.
Yeah.
To have your, like, piece of your hand.
A lot. The little, like, webbing between
by, like, not, like, sharp teeth, but, like, human teeth.
Pointer finger, yeah.
So we're in the sewers. It's the only way out.
Classic.
Yeah, because she's like, quit messing around. They're right behind us. And she puts, Rain puts Spence against the grate. And so they grab Spence, and then they break the grate, and the zombies are there. And it's the same zombies that we fought before.
Yeah.
And so the three of them are holding up a grate against... What's Spencer? Is Spencer doing anything? Because there's four of them. There's the nerd guy, Matt, the fake cop, there's Spencer, and then there's Rain. Are they all holding up that grate?
I guess so. Well, because they're going up.
Or is she shooting at them? And
they're going up. Yeah. Alice is like KOing a bunch of zombies.
Yeah, she's on one side and everyone else is on the other side.
And the other ones are shooting, and they're all trying to get up this like grate.
Yeah, there's where the pipes are. And so they start to get up, and then Nerd Kaplan, the guy that Nervous Nancy, and Rain are the last two.
I think Kaplan gets bit in the leg.
Bit right in the leg.
And then Rain shoots the zombie that bit him, and then they both manage to get up.
Well, then she sees JD.
Oh, yeah. She sees JD.
She's like, JD? And then he, like, totally takes a bite out of her neck.
Mm-hmm.
And then she shoots him in the head.
And then he gets pulled up.
And then we see the shot of her hand. She's, like, dripping the blood in front of the zombies, or, like...
Mm-hmm.
Like
she's
a rave.
Squeezing her blood out.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Alice is like, we have to see to your wounds. And she's like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I just have, like, she got bit in the arm, she got bit in the hand, and she got bit in the neck, but she's fine. And then now we're in the pipes.
We're in the pipes.
But not for long.
Because they get overrun again.
And the pipes fall. So, I don't know. So, the pipes fall with Alice and Kaplan. And is it Rain? The three of them?
I feel like...
Or was Rain further ahead?
I feel like Rain might have been further ahead.
Because then Spencer and Matt, like, have to walk all the way down. Like, they turn around to come back when they're like, ah. And then Alice gets, like, electrocuted to the other side of the room. There was, like, a wire, and she gets, like, shot to the other side of the room. But Kaplan is on the ground where the tubes fell. And then he's got to climb up. And they're like, we can help you. We'll just throw this little wire. And then he climbs up, and there's this zombie that's, like, climbing up after him, and he's like, go, get out of here.
And he tries to shoot himself in the face.
Yeah.
In the mouth, but he couldn't do it. They all left. They heard a gunshot, and they were like, no, he got shot, and then, or shot himself, but no, he shot the one zombie, and then he threw the gun, because he's, like, lame. And then he manages to, like,
there's, like, an escape route behind him.
Crawl up and go away. He could have done that the whole time.
Like, he's sitting there waiting while the zombie is climbing up at him, but there was an escape route behind him.
He's bad under pressure.
Yes, he's... and you established that.
He probably, like, realized once he was going to kill himself that he was like, oh, there's an exit.
Oh,
well, okay, let's go. All right.
And so now we have Alice and Spence, Matt, and Rain. Rain's not doing so hot. She was trying to help Kaplan, but she couldn't see to shoot, so she's...
Yeah, so Matt and Spence have to basically carry her around, and they're in this office lab area, and Alice is having a moment.
She's like, I feel like I've been here before.
And that's where the cool flashback sequence happens, where, people are, like, opaciting in and out of existence, and she sees the bunny rabbits getting ejected with the T-virus.
She's like, I know. There's a cure. So she goes into this half-flooded office, but...
There's no cure in there.
There's no cure.
She opens it up, and everything is taken. And then everyone follows. And then Spencer has his flashback.
He's got, like, a seizure flashback. He, like...
I don't know.
She's like, hello, are you there?
Hey, buddy.
Spencer!
So, yeah, he's remembering all the stuff
he did. He, like, totally has his memory. Yeah. He's spying on her and the sister, because Alice when they get in the room, she tells Matt, she's like, I was your sister's contact, and then he was like, and you betrayed her? She's like, I don't remember.
I don't know, maybe.
And then when Spencer remembers, he's like, I did it for us.
He did it to, like, sell the T-virus to make money?
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me, because they live in a mansion, they work for Umbrella, and they already have a lot of money,
yes.
But, like, whatever. Spencer... So, yeah.
Like, we could still get out of here. We could still make it.
He was the one who threw the virus at the beginning of
the movie. And you see the beginning again where he runs into the guy at the elevator with the coffee and the virus and all that.
He makes it out.
He has it, and it's on the train, which is, like, down the hall.
So, I wonder how he got KO'd on the train.
It was the gas.
Oh, he got gas?
Yeah, because it made him lose his memory.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, now he... grabs the gun and he points it at everybody and he's like, all right, I'm gonna dip now.
So he's like, you can come with me, and she's like, I'm not about that life.
He's like, all right, you're lost.
Mm-hmm.
Miss you already, and then closes the door and shoots the lock.
Yes, and so now they're locked in there. But then our friend, the Red Queen comes on. Up. She's like, not so fast. I've been a bad, bad girl.
And then shows them direct live footage of him getting eaten by this liquor that she released because she knew they were trying to escape.
Mm-hmm.
She released it for them to kill them before they could escape.
Yes. She's like, plan B. There's this creature on the loose.
She's like, honestly, I didn't think you guys would get this far, but just in case you did, I let this weird creature with an exposed brain and a long tongue climb around, and it was going to eat you at the end.
But, like, wouldn't that escape, too? And, like, wouldn't that be that?
On the train? Well, yeah, if it got on the train. Maybe she was hoping it wouldn't get on the train. I don't think it's smart enough to drive a train, but...
They could go on the tracks.
It's true, it could go on the tracks. But could it open the door?
But no, because it came out, he was on the train, and he, like, is about to shoot himself up because he got scratched. Yeah. Oh, no, he got bitten by a girl in the lab.
When we say he, we mean Spencer.
Yeah. Spencer was about to shoot someone, and then he gets...
he's about to shoot himself with the antidote.
He got bit by the girl, so he's infected, which is why he needs the antidote.
Before he gets on the train and sends it. And then this liquor comes down and...
He doesn't even...
Eats him.
Yep. Blood everywhere.
And so...
She's like, I'll let you go.
But you have to kill the infected one.
Yeah. And so Rain's like, do it. Yeah. Like, I'm not making it out of here.
Here's the axe. Just chop my head off.
And
she's about to do it.
It's a very intense moment. And then she gets the axe ready. She pulls the axe down. And then she sideswipes the television.
Yeah. Screw the Red Queen. But then
the liquor comes, and they're like, "Oh crap!" And it's like hitting the window. That's part of the intense moment where she's like, "Do it!" And then like the liquor is like hitting the glass, and she's like, "That's a double pane glass, but it won't stay forever."
Yeah.
And then she hits the screen, and then all of a sudden all the lights go out.
And who opens the door but
Kaplan?
He's alive,
and he is not worried about being nervous now.
And he pressed the explode the Red Queen button.
Yes, he pressed the red button. And he's like, let's get out of here. Because the door is like literally down the hall at that moment. Yeah. And now they're on the train and she sees...
Bitch wouldn't open the door. I had to fry her.
So
yeah, they're running down. They're at the train station. They see Spencer's dead body. Mm-hmm. He crawls, because he's a zombie now.
He's got those blue eyes.
Towards Alice. And Alice just...
Miss you already.
Smacks him with the axe that she's kept, which is good.
She should have kept.
And apparently, he told me that she hit him too hard.
Yeah, it was a rubber axe, and like she like went for it, and he was like, "Lady," like she said he had a couple things to say about that, and she's like, "Whatever."
Unprofessional. Now I have a bruise.
Mm-hmm. She's like, "So do I. Look at all these bruises."
Yeah, apparently all of her bruises were real from all the stunts she was doing, I guess.
She did all of her stunts but one. The one where she gets, like, electrocuted and thrown against the wall because there were wires hanging, and they wouldn't let her do that. Oh. But everything else in that movie is her. She was on wires and all that. That's super impressive. And now we're on the train.
Now we're on the train, and they're giving everyone the antidote.
And Rain says, I don't want to become one of those soulless things. Make sure you shoot me before that. Mm-hmm.
And then gives her the watch with the countdown. They have 7 minutes left, I think, before the thing closes.
Because she puts her head down and Alice is like, oh no.
No, she's dead.
She's a zombie. And so she goes to shoot her and Rain puts her hand up and she's like, I'm not dead yet. I'm going to hold on to this gun.
Yeah. I'm napping. Yeah. Chill out.
I've lost a lot of blood. I need a moment.
And then comes the liquor.
And scrapes the side of the... train and gets Matt right in the arm.
Mm-hmm. Gets scratched.
And then opens up that front train door and...
ready to lick them all.
Takes Kaplan and, throws him. We don't see him ever again. We don't see him die or anything like that.
No, I don't think we do.
No, he just gets thrown out. There's no way he can survive that, but...
Maybe.
I don't know. He was bitten, so he would have had to come back as
he got the antidote.
But it doesn't matter. At a certain point, she's like, the Red Queen says, after this much exposure, we don't know what the antidote would do.
Yeah, the Red Queen was like, it can kind of work, but I
don't deal in percentages. So Kaplan's gone.
Who's driving this train?
No one. Yeah, because I like how they're like, can you make it go faster? He's like, it's going as fast as it can, and then he gets pulled out of the...
And then the liquor's there, and I guess...
opens the back.
And then we have to... it licks Alice's leg?
All these giant pipes just hanging in the middle of this train.
They're trying to shoot it. It's not working very well.
She shoots it right in the exposed brain, and nothing happens.
Yeah, lickers are hard to kill in the game, too. Yeah. You really just gotta avoid them. But the cool thing about lickers is that they only react to sound, because they're blind. But this doesn't bring it... So this doesn't matter in this context. From Last of Us. So yeah, she gets licked. She takes a pipe and she jams it into its tongue.
That tongue. They push the pipes at it. They're right where the liquor's standing. Like there's a door to under the train, and she's like, "Open the door, do it now."
So yeah,
and
Matt
then
has to go. Open
Matt
the door.
Turns to open the door, and Rain's there.
But she's a zombie, so she
does the neck crack, and then she opens her eyes, and she's got those blue eyes, which only some of the zombies have.
Well, we figured because like, if you didn't have blue eyes, like really bright blue eyes, then they give you blue eyes to show that you're a zombie. But that one lady who had bright blue eyes to begin with does not.
I feel like there was a couple other zombies though that didn't have the blue eyes, but
they're not special.
I mean, I feel like those contacts gotta hurt, is what I hear from all those special contacts.
Doesn't sound fun. No.
Awful. So he's like holding her off, and then he shoots her in the head, and it's like a really good shot. So this guy's got to have some sort of combat.
And then she doubles back on the button to open the door,
and the door opens, and the creature like hits the train tracks, which are electrified for the train, and then it fries.
Yep. And
then we've made it back to the mansion, and we
have the virus and the antidote.
Yes, and now they're like walking through.
It's time to cry.
I'm so
fall
sad.
On the floor.
I couldn't save anyone. And Matt's like, it's not your fault. You tried.
It's the company's fault.
Matt's like, something's wrong with my arm.
Oh yeah, his arm starts freaking out.
He's got these like huge scratches, and then like his muscles start like contrasting, and then Hazmat comes in.
Hazmat comes in through the secret door on the side. Just a bunch of dudes in hazmat suits, and they all
it's like super
grab him and take him into the light.
Yes. And she's like trying to kick everyone she can.
Yeah, but they gas her.
Yeah, and then so Matt's arm grows like little arms in it.
It's like little worms coming out of it.
It's so gross. Yeah. And then they say he's gonna be for Project Nemesis.
And then she's going somewhere else to the Raccoon City hospital.
And then
she wakes up and she's, nude.
She's got this like really interesting like hospital gown, which is only in the front and in the back, and it's like tied.
Yeah, because they have tubes going through her like sides.
So and like in her head, and
pulls them all out
because no one else is there, and it sounds and looks awful. Like she did a great job of showing like it looked painful.
Yeah, it looked terrible. And then she goes to the two-way mirror and is like, "Is anyone in there?" And then she hacks her way through the.
There's like a guard that like walks by, but
I don't think that was a guard. There was a zombie that walked by. Zombie guard. And then she takes one of her things that she pulled out of her brain and like
hacks the
door, goes out, and it's a long pan out shot.
She's out of that. There's she doesn't see anyone. There. All these car crashes. There's newspapers sprawled around that says like the dead
walks.
And then she goes to a cop car and pulls out the shotgun from the front seat, and then it zooms out, and like all of Raccoon City is
Slipknot time.
Yeah. They talked about the music choice in there, and they really liked the Slipknot. And then they had a Nine Inch Nails, and I think they had a couple Manson songs too. Very punk rock. And that's
the whole movie.
Is Resident Evil.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. What would you rate Resident Evil?
I already told you, one fat juicy tomato.
One fat juicy tomato. So it's not your favorite in this series.
The second one's my favorite, but I have a bias because the third game is my favorite game, and that's basically what the second one's based on. Which is funny, because you think the second one would be based on the second game. Yeah. But no, it's based more on the third game.
And then we got some Jill Valentine.
I love Jill.
Number 2.
And I love Nemesis, so... And I don't like the remake of 3, by the way. Just so y'all know. Very mad about that. That ruined everything. So I'm saying the original 3
Well, just wait, because next time we're watching Resident Evil.
Is that what we're watching next time?
We're watching the Welcome to Raccoon City, which I've seen. It's the newest Resident Evil movie.
This is the movie?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was going to be the show for a second.
No, so we're going to be watching we watched the 2002, the beginning of the Resident Evil franchise. We're going to watch the latest Resident Evil movie, which I've seen. Salvi hasn't, so
I'm scared.
I watched it on an airplane, which I'm glad it didn't pay money for it. But
do we have to pay money for it now? Is it on streaming?
No, it's on streaming.
Oh, thank God.
And then after that, we're gonna watch the television series that
just gonna be all Resident Evil.
All Resident Evil.
And then we can watch the animated ones,
new franchises,
which are actually really good.
Get ready for some Resident Evil.
We're just gonna go full Resident Evil.
Full Resident Evil.
Okay.
I mean, we gotta watch Uncharted at some point, but we'll figure it out.
If we can't figure it out, it'll be Resident Evil. If we have extra plans, we'll let you know.
So join us for this is now the Resident Evil AV Club.
Oh gosh.